Tumbaron a Matamoros, hoy llegan a Monterrey. Seguirán firme en su marcha, donde pondremos la ley. Solo con piedra en la mano, indias y unos colorados, la invasión ha llegado. ¿Y dónde están tus entrenados? Al puerto de Veracruz llegan con barco y cañón. Cada minuto una bomba, ¿dónde está tu batallón? Nos vemos en Churubusco, donde mueren los guerreros. Hay que cerrar este puente, que no entre más extranjeros.
John Riley is chopping wood in the forest on Mackinac Island off the southern coast of the southern Michigan Peninsula after being discharged from the British Army in Canada circa 1845. He is probably one of the sons of the wild geese, those Irish soldiers in Wellington's army in Spain fighting Joseph Napoleon circa 1815. They have grown up in an Ireland rife with struggle over agrarian reform. The discharged Irish soldiers are loading wood onto barges for a local Irish businessman. They had become disillusioned with British Army mopping up operations against the indigenous nations in Canada. Knights find them grumbling that their prospects are dim. A flyer posted in the tavern recruits for soldiers to join the U.S. Army in Texas. Floating down the Mississippi River on a barge finds John Riley reading William Lloyd Garrison's The Liberator, an abolitionist newspaper which runs stories pertinent to the anti-slavery struggle. Soon, the great liberator of Catholic emancipation in Ireland, Daniel O'Connell, inveighs against slavery in the American South with the admonition, "Free the African." Frederick Douglass goes to visit O'Connell in Ireland and raise money for the abolitionist cause. John Riley and his men muster up at the U.S. Army barracks in New Orleans in front of a 23-year-old U.S. Sam Grant. The Irish are given their first taste of the antebellum South during a cholera epidemic. On leave for a few hours, they pass by Congo Square, the slave market. Under the tree, the famous priestess of Voodoo, Marie Laveau, is observing who is being bought and sold. Laveau runs the local chapter of the Underground Railroad. Her husband Charles helps people without documentation develop identity papers. From New Orleans to the Corpus Christi coast of Texas, U.S. troops have arrived in ocean-going sailboats and are ferried ashore in longboats. Texas has entered this union as a pro-slave state so that the southern plantocracy can utilize slaves in growing cotton as well as confiscate land from native peoples to expand cattle production. Really, they wanted Texas to graze their cattle, and this then obviates against the Native Americans of Texas in the sense that the Comanches, who were the predominant military force in Texas, and I said this at the screening in Santa Cruz along with Danny Sheehan, which was that the U.S. in some ways used the Mexican War, that Mexico had lightly populated Texas to the tune of about 4,000 settlers Mexican settlers in Texas, that really the U.S.-Mexico War was a pretext to take Texas away from the Comanches. So Abraham Lincoln makes a speech as a freshman congressman against the U.S.-Mexico War. And at that point, the U.S. under President Polk comes up with a strategy of provoking war by saying that some Mexican guerrillas had come across the river and killed some American citizens. And so whether or not that happened, that becomes the pretext to send Zachary Taylor, the commanding general, down into South Texas to begin the war. And you find the first two battles are the Battle of Palo Alto and the Battle of Resaca de la Palma, which becomes an artillery battle between heavy Mexican artillery, which is very inaccurate, and the light mobile artillery of Samuel Ringgold, Major, who is killed. In southern Texas, after the battles of Palo Alto and Resaca de la Palma, Sergeant John Riley obtains permission to attend a Catholic church service at a nearby farmstead. From there, he slips away to cross the Rio Grande and defect to the Mexican side at Matamoros. John Riley has swum the Rio Bravo and is being helped out by sympathetic Mexican citizens. John Riley has found his other compatriots, who defected before he did, gathered at a local watering hole, which houses a hotel, bar, dry goods store, and transportation hub. He is conveyed to the office of Commanding General Ampudia, where they come up with the idea of forming the Irish Foreign Legion in the Mexican Army. John Riley and Francis Dalton are newly minted officers of the St. Patrick Brigade and are here envisioned at a celebratory ball with the local senoritas. The Irish soldiers are back at the tavern, toasting the new Foreign Legion with the bartender, a member of the Fuentes family. John Riley's conversation with General Ampudia probably had to do with artillery tactics. The Battle of Monterrey was really premised on U.S. strategy that by taking a major city in northern Mexico, they would have in fact taken Mexico. This didn't prove to be the case because when Santa Anna comes back with an army to fight the Americans at the Battle of Buena Vista, the Americans realize that Mexico can't be taken unless they send General Scott in with a naval flotilla to Veracruz. There were atrocities committed by North American forces against the Mexican population. General Taylor had to send in regular army troops to stop a massacre perpetuated by Arkansas volunteers at Agua Nueva, who had scalped some of the civilians in an attempt to make it appear as if native peoples had done it. This, of course, begs the question as to whether it had in fact been the British who had introduced the practice into the Americas and was subsequently being used as a counterinsurgency tactic. At the Battle of Monterrey, the Irish have become an artillery battalion and are holding the American infantry line pinned down until General Santana inexplicably orders a retreat. Some historians assert that if Santana had ordered an attack, the Mexicans would have won the war in the north. General Scott arrives with his naval flotilla to begin what the Mexicans have called Invasion Yankee, or Yankee invasion. Veracruz represented the first time civilians were shelled with artillery to force the fort of San Juan de Ulloa to surrender with Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson on the beach directing fire. Cerro Gordo was the first battle on the road to Mexico City where Robert E. Lee gets into a hand-to-hand combat with a Yucatec lancer. Puebla, as in the days of Cortez, remained the staging area for any takeover of Mexico City. The North American forces surmounted the pass between the volcanoes to enter the Valley of Mexico. Churubusco Convent was where the Mexicans, under General Anaya, would attempt to defend the city against the American advance, or entrada. Robert E. Lee, with the Mexican guide, led a night raid through the Pedregal lava flows to get the drop on the convent. Although the Irish fought valiantly, knowing their fate if captured, Riley was caught. General Anaya sent for munitions, but Santa Anna sent him the wrong caliber bullets. Two more battles would ensue at Molino del Rey and Casamata before the Americans would mount the final assault on Chapultepec Castle. At the Battle of Chapultepec Castle, with the heroic cadets, or the Niños Héroes, atop the flag tower, while the Irish, with one remaining artillery piece, attempt to prevent the Americans from advancing up the hill. Meanwhile, at Tacubaya, within sight of Chapultepec, Colonel William Harney is prepared to hang 12 Irish deserters, including legless Francis O'Connor. Rather than surrender, the Niños Héroes martyr themselves by jumping to their deaths as the Americans storm the castle. The Mexican flag is brought down and the stars and stripes hoisted up. That is the signal for Harney to hang the Irish.
As we gather in the chapel here in El Camino jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh well, they say we failed from our school days. They have told us we must yearn for liberty. Yet all I want in this dark place to have you
uno tiene